Hey everyone, welcome back to East Vineland, New Jersey, back here on Kubota Farm. Thought we would work a little bit on our contract where we left off last time. We got her mowed up, and I thought what we could do is go ahead and do a little bit more work on this. Maybe talk a little bit about the Year 2 Season Pass. Now, this is, of course, not going to be information I'm sure that many of you haven't heard already, but I thought we'd go over it a little bit just for my own curiosity, just to get your opinions on a couple things. So, according to what I'm seeing, the map has been discovered. The name of the map has been discovered, supposedly, called Zielonka, I guess, in Poland. Interestingly enough, I kind of got a kick out of this. Let's fire up our... try and work and talk here at the same time. Let's fire up our dealio here. Thought it was interesting that they used the Elder Scrolls. At least from what my understanding is, that's how it was found out, that the Elder Scrolls library, or not library, alphabet, was used to figure out the name of the map. So that's kind of a little bit comical, in my opinion. I don't know. I know one of my kids are going to be entertained to hear about that. They're a huge Elder Scrolls fan, for sure. And the fact that Giants, if this is all pans out to be true, which it certainly sounds like it probably will. Man, I love watching tedding, though, don't you? I know it's like, squirrel. I just saw a squirrel. But yeah, I love watching that tedder work. I think that's so cool. Kind of interesting that they would do that, but it sounds completely plausible to me, and I don't see why that's not accurate. I guess in addition to that, that's going to be, they show a nice icon for carrot. So I guess common sense would lead us to believe that carrots are going to be added. Maybe other crops, possibly, but definitely, at the very least, carrots, I guess. So I don't have a problem with that. I think that actually might be kind of interesting, especially if we see some, we'll probably see some new equipment in lieu of that, I would guess. I don't think we have anything in the game right now that necessarily can harvest or plant carrots. So very curious to see how that goes. Let me lock up on here, lower our tedder, grab that bush, keep going here. Let's get a little quick inside view. I always like to see an inside view of what's going on. Yeah, that looks good. That looks really good. I don't watch enough American or North American, I guess it would be American Canadian grass work on YouTube. I need to start watching some more of that and see what kind of equipment is more commonplace, in particular here in the States and probably in Canada, just to see what they all use, if it's similar to this, because I kind of usually default to a lot of this equipment being European. So I'm not really sure if you see these kind of tedders here in North America or not. It makes me kind of curious. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Carrots for sure. I would say that's kind of a gimme. I can't imagine why else they would have a carrot icon so much right there in your face. So the first pack shows take baling a step further, and I think that one's pretty obvious. I'm actually kind of surprised a little bit that Giants gave away as much as they have on these DLCs, but I guess they're holding back enough to where it still does leave quite a bit to the imagination. But we could definitely say that corn stalk or corn fodder baling is going to be a part of, or the main focus of, the first DLC pack. Pack 2, Machines to Rule the Mountains. That's the one that I feel like can really be interpreted many different ways. I think for some people, I've heard immediately go to that it's going to be really large machines. That's going to be the DLC that has large equipment, maybe even large tractors, but sizable equipment. Because, you know, if you want to, kind of a cliche or kind of a term of, you know, ruling the mountain or, you know, conquering the mountain, you're going to need large equipment to tackle big jobs. To me, the other way you could look at it too is machines to rule the mountain. Are we going to see maybe equipment and maybe even tractors that are used in mountainous terrain? Because we have seen things like that before in Farming Simulator, where you get the, I don't know if they'd be Austrian maps and things like that, where you get the farms that are on hillsides, on mountainsides, that kind of thing. I don't know. I don't know which one they're really gearing towards there. I mean, if I had my pick, it would be the large machinery stuff. It would be the, you know, bring out the big guns kind of thing. I think that'd be kind of entertaining to see. I don't know. I think we can assume, or at least hope, that one of these DLCs, if not more than one of these, will have new brand names introduced. I would think we will see that, but I will be very curious to see what those brand names could be. And then pack 3, it just says a bonus pack. Yeah. I don't know. It's got a box with an open box with what appears to be just a couple stars or something coming out of it. So I don't know if there's much given away there. That one seems like they're keeping that one kind of hidden away, tucked under the collar, so to speak. I don't think they're giving us much to go on. Much to go on with that one, that's for sure. I would guess one thing comes to mind is it's probably going to be smaller of the DLCs would be my guess out of all of them. Not physical size of equipment small, but quantity small. I don't know, could be wrong, but kind of my thoughts. And then pack 4, equipment to improve production. And again, that kind of leaves things open a bit, but the icon kind of looks like it's a shovel and poop, if I'm being honest, right? It's a shovel and manure. So either that or it's a weird looking microphone on top of maybe Coco Wheats. Which I don't think that has much to do with farming. And if you know what Coco Wheats are, good for you. Good for you. Because I got to tell you, I have mentioned Coco Wheats to many people I know, and I get this blank look like, what are you talking about? Coco Wheats? Like, did you honestly take like cream of wheat and just pour sugar on it or something? And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what it is. But I didn't do that. You actually buy Coco Wheats. And I don't know if it's funny, because when I go buy Coco Wheats, because I love Coco Wheats, at least where I shop, it's just got one little spot, you know, and it's always there. That's kind of a plus, because I don't think it sells a ton. But there's always just one little spot next to the cream of wheat, and I don't know what else is there. Maybe it's is it in the oatmeal section, stuff like that. It's a hot breakfast cereal. In fact, that's, if you remember the commercial I can hear the song in my head as I talk about it. Coco Wheats, Coco Wheats. A hot, new, nutritious cereal, that's Coco Wheats or something like that. If you have never tried it, I encourage you, I implore you to pick some Coco Wheats up the next time you're at the store. Don't make it with water. You're going to be tempted because it's easy. But look at the label and look at the directions for making it. Use milk. And be very, very careful when you're making it, because I'm going to tell you this. I think we're getting away from the Year 2 Season Pass. I think we're done talking about it anyways, but I'm going to tell you a little secret with Coco Wheats. If you've never had them before, and you're like me, and you kind of like the quicker, making them as quick as you can, you got a microwave, watch that stuff in the microwave very carefully, because it will go from heating up and sitting in your bowl to a Coco Wheat explosion in no time. I mean, not necessarily, I wouldn't say explosion, eruption maybe, a lava flow. You really got to watch your Coco Wheats when you're making them, because if you let it get out of hand and you're not paying attention, it just, that bowl, that stuff is just going to start rising and rising and rising. And I've had some really nasty Coco Wheat messes in the past if I am not careful. So stay on top of it if you're going to make them. That's all I can tell you. But they are, I don't know, it's a lovely breakfast cereal. You're going to want sugar. In my opinion, you're going to want to add that sugar, you know. You're going to want to make them with milk, and you're going to want to add sugar. And then enjoy. Knock yourself out. It's fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. But it amazes me at how I run into people all the time that aren't familiar with Coco Wheats. Maybe I'm certain it must be an older product that's been around many years. Maybe it was more popular many years ago. Would be my guess. But I know when I was growing up, when I was a kid, many years ago, that Coco Wheats, I mean, it was like a staple, I think it made my mom comfortable, because it seemed like a healthier alternative. Excuse me, a healthier alternative to like sugar cereal. And when you're a kid, you're not asking your mom or dad to bring home, Raisin Bran or Colon Blow or some other fiber-rich cereal. You don't want anything to do with that. You don't want fiber cereal. You want sugar cereal, man. You want like sugar snaps, or, basically, if you could, you just a bowl of sugar would work with some milk poured over it, But I think Coco Wheats made my mom a little more comfortable as far as health benefits, because of how it was either marketed or how it really was. I don't really know, but yeah, curious little thing. All right, so what are we doing here? Selected work mode left. That doesn't sound right. Wait, how do I do this? Control, there we go. Right, middle. So left, right, and middle. Let's do middle, I would assume. Seems like that makes more sense. And we can turn it on and lower it, and I think we're good to go. Let's fire this beast up. How's this thing looking? It should be like a conveyor belt. Oh, it's like a paddle. Conveyor belt paddle system thing going on there. I like that. All right. Oh, I know what we need to do though. Let's lock and load here. Well, that's pretty darn close to... Let's scooch it over just a little bit that way, I think. Let's lock it in there. Let's give it a go. I haven't used this thing in a long time, so I'm curious. Oh, yeah, I like it. Animations. Yeah, that's sweet. Very, very nice. I'd like to run this thing all... I could run this thing all day, be pretty happy with doing that. Not too shabby at all. Very clean, very nice, fun to watch. Nice little waterfall of grass going towards the middle there. Looks like there's a little... And you know, for what it does, actually, I was gonna say it looks like it's got a lot going on, but honestly, for what it does, it doesn't really look... Whoops, I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to do that. It doesn't look that complicated of a machine. Looks like it could rip your arm or leg off in a heartbeat if you weren't careful around it, but it looks pretty basic. Pretty much PTO driven, not a lot of like hydraulics and stuff going on. Not as bad as I would think. Look at those springs. Size of those springs back there, dang. Some big old boys. I gotta check that thing out on YouTube. Get some live action shots of that thing. That's pretty cool. Man, it makes a nice swath, doesn't it? The fence revving up and down a bit. 11 miles an hour working speed, not too shabby at all. And it's, man, it raises and lowers fast too. It's not messing around. Not too bad. See, I was trying to think of some other foods, you know, when I was a kid that were pretty popular that I don't see as much anymore. And I know Coco Wheats, of course, being one of them. Most cereals that I used to eat, at least when I was a kid, are still out today and still seem to be pretty popular. I can't really remember any cereals that aren't around anymore. A lot have been added, that's for sure. My kids used to like, I don't know if they still necessarily do as much, I don't believe they do as much, but they used to like I find them nasty, the Cocoa Puffs. I don't like, ugh. It's a weird tasting chocolate to me. It's like, it's supposed to be chocolate, but it's a really chemically, I don't know, to me, not good, not a good chocolate. So yeah, Cocoa Puffs, no thanks. And then they started getting fancier, it seems like, with some of the staples. Like you had Captain Crunch, which just shredded your mouth. But then they had to come out with different Captain Crunches because the original wasn't good enough, apparently. I think the original is the best one, but don't they have like peanut butter Captain Crunch now? And I think I saw some kind of fruit flavored thing going on. Nah. If I'm going to shred the roof of my mouth eating cereal, it's going to be for classic Captain Crunch. No question about it. Sugar Snap's still around. What else do we have? Of course, Frosted Flakes, but that doesn't seem to be... I still am a big fan of Frosted Flakes, but my kids never got into it. I don't think there was enough sugar involved there or something like that. I don't know. I don't get it. Or they weren't into Tony the Tiger, you know. Not a fan of Tony. Fruity Pebbles, yeah, I could still do. The problem with Fruity Pebbles, for me at least, is very, very tasty, but I go through a box of that really fast. You know, it's like the Frosted Flakes, same size box in Frosted Flakes as in Fruity Pebbles. Like the Fruity Pebbles last like 2 days, and the Frosted Flakes will last like 4 or 5 days. And I don't get it. I don't know if it's just because the Fruity Pebbles is like a lot more compact, and like, you know what I'm saying, in your bowl and stuff. It's like eating rice, right? Because it's like it's a rice-based thing, I think. I don't really know, but I do know that Fruity Pebbles go through those like there's, you know, nobody's business. But I will say, though, as I've gotten older and stuff, I have... my tastes haven't changed too drastically for cereal, other than the fact that I do tend to lean towards some of the tastier, like, oatmeal cereals, the crunchy oatmeal cereals. Big fan of those. I know my mom and dad used to always have grape nuts in the house. And I know my grandparents did as well. And I remember just taking one look at those when I was a kid and was like, nope. You know, if I want to eat gravel, I'll go outside and, you know, scoop some up from the, you know, some gravel from the driveway, and munch on that. And it's weird though, right, with grape nuts. And I know that you're thinking, well, first of all, there's no grapes, and I don't think there's any nuts either. But what's weirder to me is I actually really do like grape nuts a lot more now. But I have to be careful. Now that I'm older, you know, eating that stuff, I got to let it sit and soak in the milk for a while. Otherwise, I've got like 4 teeth that are going to get knocked out eating the stinking grape nuts. When I was a kid, I could have ate grape nuts dry and my teeth would have survived. But nowadays, it's like sitting down with a bowl of grape nuts, I'm like waiting 10 minutes while they super saturate in milk so I can gnaw on it good enough to get it down. And then they came out with grape nut flakes, which, is alright, you know. I think you're kind of ruining the concept of the grape nuts, but I get it, you know. It's different. It's different. Still don't understand the grape nuts, though. It seems weird to me. I don't know. I wonder why they were even called that. Like, honestly, though, it's like somebody came into a board meeting and said, hey, I got a great idea for a new cereal. It's called Grape Nuts. And they're like, wow, so this is going to be a cereal that has like, what, like grapes, like dried grapes, which, raisins. But let's just say, you know, it's going to have some kind of grape flavor with nuts. And the guy's like, or the girl's like, no, you don't get it at all. I'm not calling it grape nuts because it's got grapes or nuts. I'm calling it grape nuts because it's got gravel bits of stuff in there. I don't know if it's oatmeal or if it's just like they like literally off the stalk. Like you might as well almost be using corn kernels, for goodness sakes, you know. So I don't know how that passed quality inspection or marketing. Maybe it was called something else, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe it was the other way around. Maybe the person who thought of grape nuts called it something accurate, you know, gravel, bowl gravel, or gravel chew, or something like that, you know. And then the marketing department went, wait a minute, we can't have the word gravel or stone in our cereal name, you know, that people aren't going to buy something called gravel chew or, you know, stone gnaw or morning stone. People aren't going to buy that stuff. We got to call it something that sounds appetizing. Why don't we call it grape nuts? But it doesn't have grapes or nuts in it. Doesn't matter. You know, people are going to eat that up. They'll see grape nuts and they'll be like, I like grapes and I like nuts. and they'll buy it. And by the time they figure out that it doesn't have either, it doesn't matter anymore because they've bought the cereal. You know, the cereal's already bought, paid for, out the door. You know, you're good to go. Done. It's great, fantastic. And if they like it, they'll keep coming back and buying it. They don't care if it's called grape nuts. You know, to them it's just, I liked that cereal. I'm gonna buy more of it. You know, I don't know. You could call it. Well, there's a lot of things I guess you could call it that aren't accurate. But I guess if you like it, you'll eat it. I mean, let's face it. The way I feel, the way things have gone, or the way things go. You know, why is chocolate named chocolate? I mean, you and I could be right now, if things have gone maybe even just a touch differently, you know, you and I might not be going, man, you know, I love chocolate candy bars. We might actually be saying to each other, you know what? I love dung candy bars. Don't you love dung? I love dung. Because we don't know what fancy words were, you know, the origins may have, it would have just taken one person, I think. One person to not say and call chocolate chocolate, but to call it dung. And we'd all be calling them dung bars. That's it. And I feel like I've taken this as far as I can take it, so I think we're going to put the kibosh on this episode of Kubota Farm. Yeah, wow. I'm going to do a little work probably on the side. Might get this stuff, well, I don't know. I might work on our farm property and maybe come back here to this next time we can finish this up. We haven't done any square baling on Kubota Farm yet, so maybe I'll come back to that and we can check that out. But thanks everyone for joining me again, putting up with me. I do appreciate it. If you made it this far, wow, you know, God bless. But I'll see you back here Wednesday, hopefully. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you want to. And make sure we take care of ourselves, take care of each other most importantly, and I'll see y'all back here in East Vineland. Bye for now.